Welcome to English Story Time, where stories come to life. Sit back, relax, and enjoy captivating stories. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new story. Let's get started. In the year 2000, there was a young Sudanese man named Ahmed. Ahmed managed to enter Lebanon illegally through Syria. His goal in entering Lebanon was to find work. He arrived in Beirut and started looking for a job until he found work in a factory that produced plastic and other manufacturing materials. Many workers were employed there, both men and women. After a few months, Ahmed met an Ethiopian girl named Layla. Layla was a very beautiful girl with a chocolate-like beauty that captivated Ahmed. He began to get closer to her, learning about her life and her situation. Layla was single and, like Ahmed, living in Lebanon illegally. She lived with a group of women who worked in the factory and shared housing for workers. As time passed and their feelings for each other grew, Ahmed and Layla decided to live together. Ahmed rented a small apartment and Layla moved in with him. To everyone around them, they seemed like a married couple and no one suspected anything. They went to work together, returned together, and lived their lives quietly. However, Ahmed had a problem with commitment. He didn't like going to work regularly. He was often late, sometimes absent, and generally lazy. He enjoyed staying up late, which affected his job performance and salary. He frequently received warnings and deductions from his paycheck. Eventually, the factory management gave him a final warning, saying that if he was late or absent again, he would be fired. But Ahmed couldn't change his habits. He stayed up late, showed up to work tired, and made many mistakes, until one day he was fired. After losing his job, Ahmed couldn't pay the rent, and Layla, whose family in Ethiopia depended on her salary, couldn't help with the rent either. One day, the landlord kicked them out. Homeless and desperate, Ahmed remembered a friend named Walid, a Lebanese man who was married. He called Walid for help, and Walid invited Ahmed and Layla to stay at his place in Uzai, Beirut. Walid's wife welcomed them, and they stayed for the night. Walid even offered them to stay longer until Ahmed could sort things out. Ahmed continued to search for work, but after days of failure, tension grew between him and Layla. Layla, frustrated with their situation, urged Ahmed to let her go back to the shared housing for women, but Ahmed, in his love for her, begged her to stay. Weeks passed without Ahmed finding a solution, and Layla's patience ran thin. Their relationship deteriorated, and Ahmed's frustration led him to start physically abusing her. Walid, noticing the tension in his house, finally told Ahmed that while Layla could stay, he had to leave. Angry and feeling betrayed, Ahmed left, but his obsession with Layla didn't fade. He suspected that there was something between her and Walid. His jealousy consumed him, and he began plotting revenge. One night, Ahmed decided to carry out his plan. He hailed a taxi driven by a man named Hassan who was wearing gold jewelry. Ahmed asked to be taken to the outskirts of Beirut, where, on a deserted road, he attacked the driver. After strangling Hassan and smashing his head with a rock to ensure he was dead, Ahmed hid the body and returned to the city, stealing the man's money and jewelry. The next day, Ahmed went to visit Layla, giving her a gold ring he had stolen from the driver. Layla, unaware of the crime, accepted the gift. After this, Ahmed disappeared for 3 months. During that time, the family of the taxi driver, Hassan, searched for him. They found his taxi abandoned with bloodstains inside but no sign of his body. Eventually, police traced the gold ring Layla was wearing back to the crime. Layla and Walid were arrested, but they insisted they had no involvement. Ahmed's name came up as a witness, and when questioned, he finally confessed to the crime. In the end, Ahmed admitted that he had killed the driver out of desperation and jealousy. He was sentenced to life in prison, but Layla and Walid were acquitted of all charges, and that is the end of the story.